Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to Editorial, and my guest, Dr. Ashikur Rahman, Senior Economist, Policy Research Institute. Welcome back, Doctor.
Thank you.
And we talk about what you were going to finish.
So I think if I may close this by saying that I think Finance Minister has rightly targeted NBR to enhance our tax base, and I think this is a much needed development. If we have to finance our development needs, our infrastructure needs, our needs in social sectors like healthcare and education, there is no alternative to better revenue mobilization performance.
So now shifting the spotlight a little, Britain's exit from the European Union. So it's a historic decision. And how do you feel will be the global impact economically, basically?
Well, first of all, I think Britain was known for its common sense, but I think they have surrendered their common sense to petty nationalism and aggressive xenophobia. I think what we have witnessed is probably a collateral, a decision that is a huge collateral loss. Already $2 trillion has been wiped off from the capital market across the globe. That is the size of the Indian GDP. I think Britain's economy is under pressure. I think the European economy is under pressure. There's no good news attached to it. I think what is very upsetting is that if we have learned anything from 500 years of human history, we know that politics based on aggressive nationalism, politics based on racism, politics based on religion has never helped human societies. But unfortunately, if you see what is happening in US, if you see what is happening in UK, we are allowing these old, failed political ideologies to become mainstream political ideologies. And certain people, banking on fear, banking on anxiety, are trying to divide the world in harsher terms. It will definitely have global implications. Bangladesh will probably take a hit, but not too much maybe. Depends on kind of the trade agreements that we can negotiate with Britain outside EU. But a weaker EU, a weaker Britain is bad for us as a globe, as a species, because we need united efforts on climate change and many other issues. I think this will weaken our collective approach to many common threats that many countries face.
So there have been comments like it's just the drawbridge has just been pulled out. That means it's just a vacuum. Does it mean that business will go on as usual for Britain and the rest of the EU?
No, it can't. It can't, because see, for example, it will first affect the trade between UK and EU. The EU had a free flow of goods and labor. That is no longer possible. So export from UK to EU and EU to UK will take a hit. We don't know what kind of protective measures will UK take. Will they think about making a wall, protect, and pretend that they can save the economy by restricting trade and restricting investments? We don't know yet. We have to see how this transition plays out. I hope Britain understands the magnitude of this decision. I think it is wrong to call such decision democratic, because only 70% people voted, and that basically means that this entire decision was taken by 36% people, which essentially means that you're taking a decision that has far-reaching implications, a complex decision that is done on a purely simple majoritarian principle. Now you see, even in Bangladesh, if you have to change the constitution, you need 2/3 majority. In US, you need to go through much more higher layers of checks and balances. Because the idea is that when you're trying to change the basic character of a political contract, you need the masses involved and you need to be very cautious. Unfortunately, such degree of caution was not shown in this context. People, and Prime Minister David Cameron, it's probably his worst legacy. Conservative Party has built a political capital on Euroscepticism over last 2 decades. I think this is a snake that they have created, and it has bitten Britain bad. That's what I can say.
So our expats and immigrants in Britain, how is this going to impact their lives?
Well, again, we don't know, right? We don't know where it will stop, because this Brexit, quote unquote, was done on the immigration card. Now, will that card be again played against immigrants who are there now? Will Bangladeshi labor or people or students will be treated in a different way? We don't know where this fear and xenophobia stops. So this is a Pandora's box. We don't know, because one can see that Scotland will have a referendum. So Scotland might now choose independence, which means that England and Wales will be living together. Now we just don't know how they will interact with the globe. I think, we are in uncharted waters now.
So there are also talks of referendum of other countries to move now from what we may safely call this 27 country bloc, which was 28 with Britain.
Yes.
So France also. So how do you feel if they withdraw, if they retract? What will be the situation?
Well, it will be very upsetting, because Europe achieved a lot. The idea of Europe achieved a lot. This is a continent where millions died for petty wars, for wars based on religion and nationalism. And finally, after Second World War, they created a political union that stopped hard, intense political conflict. Now, to undermine that and go back to those old ways is just dogma. It's just bad dogma, bad faith in, bad ideologies. I personally feel it's a great loss. But one thing, coming back to your question, I feel that the economic implication that we are seeing now might stop other countries from doing that, because Britain is getting hit. If France leaves, France will get hit. So I think now we are beginning to understand the real cost of leaving, because previously it was all an estimate, all an educated guess. But now, if Britain leaves and Britain takes a downturn, goes into recession, that will stop other countries from leaving Europe, because they don't want to replicate the blunder Britain has done.
So we have to see and wait for the results.
Oh, yes.
And sir, on this note, it's been a very interesting discussion, but we have to come to the end of this edition.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, we have come to the end of this edition of Editorial, but stay tuned to ATN News for another edition next Sunday. I'm your host, Richard Moreno.